Hello and welcome to Next Stop News, a series created to inform the transit community about events occurring within the system. Here's what we'll be discussing in this month's installment. Of course, we're going to open up with the R32s, as it would be a massive disservice not to. The R32 Retirement Runs were by far one of the most memorable events in New York City subway history. I'd also say it was also one of the most astounding events to occur in my 8-year duration as a transit fan. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. What a wonderful time to be a Broadway line fanner from 2019 to now. I also want to give a massive shout out to the MTA and the New York Transit Museum for successfully pulling this off. The R32s were brought into Grand Central Terminal as part of their debut on September 9, 1964, and were later introduced into the system on September 14th on the N and Q lines. 3360 to 61 was one of the first pairs to be introduced into Grand Central. They were overhauled in the 1980s, giving them the look that we're all accustomed to today. During the Great Retirement of 2009, all but 240, later 232, R32s had been retired. The remaining units were scheduled to be retired, but due to issues found on the R44s, those were retired instead, giving 222 R32s the chance to run for one more decade, alongside 50 R42s. They were fixed up at Coney Island and 207th Street yards and placed back into service. They would run on the A, C, J, Z, and even the R on one rare occasion, along with some reroutes from 2010 to 2020. The R32s were gradually being phased out through March and April of 2020, with the main retirement dates being March 3rd, 14th, and April 5th of 2020, with a retirement announcement on April 24th, which was fulfilled on the 27th. Because of COVID, the retirement process of the R32s was sped up, and the ceremony, which was supposed to take place in March of 2020, was canceled. On July 1st, 2020, 96 R32s were reactivated for service on the J and Z lines for Phase 3 of New York City's reopening, filling in for the inactive R179s, which were sidelined 1 month earlier due to a coupler detachment issue. They reigned on Nassau until the fall of 2020. Many thought that they had retired with the 4:55 p.m. Z train on September 24th, but they actually performed their final runs on Nassau on October 8th. They occasionally came out for movie service after that, but other than that, the transit community mostly wrote them off as retired. On December 10th, an unexpected glimmer of joy was given to us when it was announced by the New York Transit Museum that 4 retirement runs would take place for the R32s, spanning between December and January on 4 consecutive Sundays, those being December 19th, 26th, January 2nd, and January 9th. 3 of the 4 runs took place on a shortened D Express, which spurred on the F, running from 145th Street to 2nd Avenue from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., giving transit fans multiple opportunities to catch them. You can't tell me that the R32s being signed up as D in concourse wasn't an excellent foreshadowing. The well-anticipated final run occurred on the line where it all began, on September 14, 1964, the Q line from 57th Street to Brighton Beach from 10 a.m. to 7:36 p.m. Except the plot twist was, unlike in 1964, the Q was able to run up the 2nd Avenue line to 96th Street, 5 years after this phase opened to the public. Therefore, a 10-car set of R32s, 3894 to 95, 3888 to 89, 3646 to 47, 3840 to 41, and 3361 to 3360 was assembled and decorated with American flags, holiday decorum, an R109 horn, and retirement posters. The set was also shined up to remove the minute amount of rust in the front and between cars, and vintage maps along with bud stickers were installed within it. Rumor has it that this was the movie train in the past. Many of these cars had previous historical significance, with 3360 to 61 being one of the R32s in the consist that arrived at Grand Central as mentioned before, and it has rubber roll signs. 3894 to 95 has an R38 roll sign. The consecutive runs began on December 19th. Due to having no fan trip for over 20 months, many transit fans were hectic and rowdy when they finally got one, changing roll signs, vaping, engaging in fights, and even damaging a seat on 3888 to 89. Some people were even shoved off of the train by private contractors. This caused the train to be taken out of service before having the opportunity to engage in its 3 p.m. run, cutting the fun short and ending the festivities for the rest of the day. On December 23rd, the Transit Museum director decided to give the community a second chance, confirming the runs for December 26th, but fiercely warning that if any violations manifested themselves during the event, future trips in January would be canceled. Luckily, all went well on the 26th, but a reminder of the events of the week prior remained. Instead of 10 cars, the special D train was cut to 8 cars, which made the cars more packed, but also provided greater opportunities for transit fans to get pictures of the front and stations. 3360 was also given a semi-retro look, with route destination stickers over top of the flip dot and retro signs on the sides of 3360. This was the first time that I was able to go, getting full ride clips in for both directions. This is also where I found out that the retirement run train was also a movie train, and that a conscious decision was made to sub in the R32s for the R9s. When it was successfully concluded, I immediately had a good feeling about the following runs. On December 31st, it was revealed that the R32's front doors and pantograph had been painted blue, making it closer to its original 1964 look. It felt like the train got an upgrade each week, hence why I created the R32 Becoming Canny meme video. On January 2nd, 3360 was reoriented northwards, and many people were able to enjoy the new look of the train, self included. It even had retro numbers and TA logos on one side. 3894 was also given a Wabco horn. I focus on getting more footage on Central Park West and more departing footage. Besides a fight about masks at Bryant Park and a vapor at 59th Street on the 4 p.m. trip, this event went more smoothly than last week's and was more fun than the week before it. Trust me, riding the R32 up and down Central Park West was highly sentimental, as I remembered when I would do it for the past 7 years, especially going to high school. However, the main hype was reserved for January 9, 2022, with many people preparing to come from different states and even different countries to partake in this ceremony. I even created a countdown for it. Since all had gone smoothly, it was assured to occur, and we all couldn't wait. Nevertheless, on January 3rd, a report was released that the train was vandalized inside of Coney Island Yard by a bad actor, a saboteur who wanted to see the final run canceled. It was on track 20, around 5 p.m. when it was tampered with. Roll signs, electrical components, PA systems, and seats were damaged. This put me on edge for the rest of the week, as no one was sure if the final run would still occur. However, since it happened early in the week, the Transit Museum was able to inspect and repair the damage, getting the train back in working condition, and it was confirmed on January 7th that the run would still occur. In fact, a GO that involved the queue using the Montague Street Tunnel was canceled just to push this trip through. The MTA literally bent time and space against all odds to allow this event to occur. On January 9th, the train arrived at Brighton Beach outfitted with a banner resembling the one which the R32s were first introduced with, but instead of it being the first of 600 new Brightliners, it was the last. It was poetry in motion, and this really touched me sentimentally. 3360 was still oriented northwards because of last week's run, and the side doors were painted blue with the TA logos being outfitted on the other side that was untouched during last week. Stickers were also placed between the cars advising people not to walk between them. I showed up for the 1:30 run out of 96th Street, waiting for it at Times Square, and I subsequently continued to fan the final run consist until the very last moment that it opened its doors at Brighton Beach. Overall, I fanned them from 1:30 to 8 p.m., the longest I have ever historically fanned besides July 15th. The train was absolutely packed, as 8 cars were still utilized. Literally everyone had shown up to this run. I rode it from Times Square to Atlantic Avenue, and then from Kings Highway to 96th Street. Riding at R32Q on the 2nd Avenue subway was absolutely epic and very surreal. The oldest train in the newest stations, as many have said. I then rode the train from 96 to Canal, from DeKalb to 57th, and finally, from Lexington Avenue 63rd to Brighton Beach. Before we got there, we were told to expect a parade of trains, and what a surprise it was. A whole new consist of R32s was on the other track, signed up as Q. 3828 to 29, which may have been a work train, 3396 to 97, and 3889 to 88, the set which was removed the first time, were all there in their classic post-90s look that we grew up with them in. What a fantastic surprise. Rumor had it before that the original train was shortened to 6 cars after the vandalism, but I think that it must have been mistaken for this one. Once the doors opened, we all cheered and I ran to take pics of the 2 R32Qs side by side. I really had to run because my phone was only on 1% and I really wanted to get those pictures, so I am so glad that my iPhone 6 held out one last time before retirement. The R32 final runs fulfilled Coney Island's true desire to run R32s again. It also helped me experience what it was like when the R32s were assigned to Coney Island Yard. Trust me, as a casual rider of the Q since 2007 and as a frequent rider of the Q to Brooklyn Tech from 2018 to 2020, this was a true gift to me, and something that I would have never imagined actually occurring in my wildest dreams. The final run departed Brighton, then the 6-car set, Then 3840 to 41 and 3361 to 60 came back first. Then I saw the other two R32s come back, performing non-revenue trips between Kings Highway and Brighton Beach. This was the last time that I ever saw them. I'm glad that I had one last chance to experience a proper conclusion for a major piece of my childhood. Rest in peace, R32s, 1964 to 2022. 58 breathtaking and powerful years of service have come to an end. You had a wonderful run, making a profound impact on all of our childhoods, and you will dearly be missed. I have to say, thank you MTA and New York Transit Museum, and the Civil Rail fans out there who enjoyed this event. You guys all made these runs possible, and ensured that the event wasn't canceled. This event was the perfect combination of the Parade of Trains, the R42 style final run, and the annual R1 and 9 style runs to 2nd Avenue. A legendary train received a legendary send-off. It's still hard to believe that these days were real, and that wet, rainy, and foam-filled night was real. But indeed it was, and they were. I'm very impressed that the MTA managed to pull this off during the true height of the pandemic, though we did see at least 11 COVID cases stem from the event. Come to think of it, both the R32 and R42 farewell runs took place while COVID was on the earth. The R32s outlasted the R42s by 2 years. It's hard to believe it's been 2 years since the R42 final run occurred. Man, time is flying. Bud Company's legacy has now been fulfilled, and the second longest serving car has now entered into the Hall of Fame with the legends. With that, there are no more MTA trains in service that are 60-foot smees, no trains with front flip dots nor unobscured railfan windows with half cabs for motorman and conductor operation, no more trains with a boxy design for the B division, no more trains with gray fiberglass seats or fully corrugated exterior, or those that do not have door chimes. This means that every train that runs on the BMT Eastern Division from henceforth will assuredly be a new tech train. In the subway, all that's left B Division wise now is R46s for the A, C, N, Q, and W, R68s for the A, B, D, N, Q, and W, R143s for the J, L, and Z, and R160s for the E, F, G, J, L, M, R, and Z, and R179s for the A, C, J, and Z, until the R211s arrive, of course. There is now no more leverage to justify taking the R179s out of service. It may sound cliche, but the subway system really won't be the same without the R32s. It's going to take a while to process their absence, especially considering that they've been around for virtually forever. I'm glad they received a proper conclusion though. The R32s were an icon on the C line for several years, and I'll always fondly remember the times that I was able to ride it on select A trains to high school. On January 13th, the cars used in the final run were moved to Canarsie for storage, and 3488 to 89 and everything connected to it, the set that was formerly in Canarsie, was seen traveling down Essex Street. I'm hearing that 3360 to 61 will be preserved, and that some R32s will continue to be used as movie and work trains in the near future, though we will never see them in service again. On the bright side, we can now rest assured that the R179s have fulfilled their purpose in retiring all remaining pre-1970 SMEs. A massive headache is out of the way for the MTA, as it was hard to maintain the R32s as their MBDF declined over the years, especially from 2019 to 2020. Their future is no longer uncertain. All we're waiting for now is the scrap contract for the rest of the R32s and R42s. If you want to see my reaction and commentary when I thought the R32s were retired the first time, you could check out May 2020 Transit News Update. Link will be in the description below. Check out John Lewis Cedric's recent R32 retirement review. The link will be in the description below. The MTA no longer has to worry about chaotic vandals ruining these trains as well for the public. I'm glad the R32s left the system, as there is now an uptick of crime and vandalism. A new age of conquesting is upon us, sadly. On January 16th, vandals broke into City Hall and tampered with an R46 and R68A there. I can only see it getting worse from here. These might be the same vandals that messed with the R32. On January 12th, it was announced that a federal grant for $6,192,134,734 was given to the MTA, the largest grant in the Federal Transit Administration's history. This will propel the MTA's capital plan forward, allowing them to both repair existing infrastructure and work on novel projects such as future phases of the 2nd Avenue subway. On December 15th, the MTA announced a new system known as fare capping, allowing rides purchased with OmniCards to be free for the rest of the week after spending $33 on subway fares. It's basically akin to an unlimited Metro card. As the D train was re-extended from Bay 50th Street to Coney Island on January 24th, this exterminated the need for the D99. Therefore, it has been officially discontinued. Because of a staffing shortage caused by Omicron, the B, W, Z, 6 Express, and 7 Express, as well as the Staten Island Railroad Express, were all suspended on December 29th, with the B, Z, 6 Express, and 7 Express being brought back on January 19th, and the W being brought back on January 24th. On January 14th, it was announced that several R46s are getting SMS'd. This, along with the B being suspended, has led to more R68s and 68As on the N, Q, and W lines in their place. COVID is also having severe effects on the bus networks as well. On January 3rd, an MTA worker revealed that 102 workers at Manhattanville Depot were out sick with the virus. On January 5th, Flatbush was announced to be down 77 drivers. Fresh Pond was down 40 drivers, and College Point was also short. On January 1st, the S59 was experiencing severe gaps due to a driver shortage at Yukon. The Omicron variant is unlike any other COVID strain we've seen before. As some have stated before, it is indeed very efficient when it comes to transmission. The BX39 was sent to Gun Hill on January 2nd due to the MTA's winter pick. To prepare for this swap in the days leading up to this, several LFSAs were transferred from West Farms to Gun Hill. In the past 2 years, the BX39 has been passed from Kingsbridge to West Farms to Gun Hill. This allows West Farms to focus more on the rest of its articulated routes, like the BX19, and imparts more responsibility on Gun Hill. 699 and 1064 were the last West Farms buses to run on the BX39, and 5570 was the first Gun Hill bus to run on it. As of December 14th, the lease on the Proterra has officially concluded, and all buses were sent back to their manufacturer on December 16th. They were purchased by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey on December 18th, and they will soon be inherited by them. They are all at the JFK vendor as of January 12th. After 4 years of diversifying New York's fleet and providing a window to a cleaner future, their time with the MTA has officially come to an end. Now, we only have Novas, New Flyers, and retiring Orions. We won't see Proterras in the MTA for a good while, until the MTA decides to acquire the ZX5, which I really hope they do with the upcoming 375 electric bus order. On December 14th, it was announced at a conference that Jamaica will be receiving 60 electric buses in the intermediate future. During the conference, Proterras 18 to 19 and XC60s 4960 to 61 were hosted at Jamaica. At first, this conference threw everyone in for a loop, as some of us assumed that the electrics they received would be the 60 XC40s that the MTA is slated to acquire this year. But obviously, this must be a different batch of electrics, as it was announced that Jamaica will be outfitted for electric buses by 2025 or 2026, not 2023. If these buses ended up being Excelsiors, it would be very ironic, considering that the depot is preparing to get rid of this model. On December 10th, Nova officially won the bid for 135 new buses for MTA Bus. This is a base order of 50 buses, which includes an option for 85 more. They will be split between Baisley Park, JFK, Far Rockaway, and LaGuardia depots. We don't know exactly how many buses will be given to each depot, but my gut tells me that Baisley will get the base order of 50 buses. They will likely be numbered from 8964 to 9098, with 8964 to 9013 being the base and 9014 to 9098 being the option, and they will likely have identical specs to 8755 to 8963 once they arrive. They will likely arrive between fall 2022 to spring 2023, consecutively following the Coneheads, which will hopefully arrive between this spring and summer. Once they arrive, they are expected to retire 1/3 of all Orions at MTA Bus, while bringing MTA Bus its first Nova since 2019. However, we have to get through the first two orders before we can receive this one. Man, Nova's orders are severely delayed. Damn! And it's all because of the delays and setbacks of the LFS HEVs. I'm surprised that the MTA even wants another order from Nova after the hell that they've been through with them. Before we begin with the buses we did receive, here's a progress report of all the buses that came in during 2021. These are all the buses we're stepping away with in total. East New York Depot received XDE40s 9510 to 11, 13, 20, 29, and 34 since the last time we spoke, bringing their total to 24 units, 9510 to 9511 and 9513 to 34. Grand Avenue received 9537, 42 to 43, 47 to 48, and 51 since the last time we spoke, bumping up their total to 13 units. However, though all the rest of the units are built and many are at the JFK vendor, none have moved an inch. 9549 to 50, 54, and 56 to 57 are all confirmed to be at the vendor. 9552 might also be there as well. It's funny because the depot once had a shortage, now they have a surplus. Mother Clara Hale received 9560 on December 21st, bumping up their total to 28 units. It re-debuted on January 12th on the M1 after not being in service since last April at East New York. 9561 to 62, the final two Bay base order units, are on standby at the vendor. As of January 12th, Michael J. Quill has option order XCEs 9417 to 9435 and 9437, 20 out of 46 units, all on standby at the JFK vendor. Yep, it's confirmed that they will receive the option XCEs first. Quill will receive 9416 to 61, while Hale receives 9462 to 9499. 9590, after being out of service since October 13th and going to the JFK vendor, re-enters service on January 6th. Sadly, there has been a pause on XDE40 deliveries since December 21st. As a result, the XDE40 order should be done by May or June. Because of this, the base order was not able to be fully completed before 2021 came to an end. But I still have a feeling that they'll be logged as 2021 units once they arrive. Everything's built, it just needs to be delivered. I'm also hearing that the 2022 XD40 7852 to 57 will be arriving at Fresh Pond in 3 months. Tuskegee received 9629 to 9630 and 9633, bringing their total to 11 units, but 9630 had to be sent back to the JFK vendor, and 9629 experienced a door issue on January 9th while operating on the M101, which may have been due to inclement weather. However, as of January 14th, it has been fixed. This is not a system-wide issue. Kingsbridge reactivated 9662 on December 9th, and 9654, the unit which was at Jamaica, on December 31st, being the last unit to be reactivated and officially ending the LFS HEV shutdown. 9660 got into an accident on December 9th and returned to service on January 12th. The depot also received 9645 and 9646, bumping their total of HEVs up to 17. 9647 and 9655 are currently on standby for delivery in New Jersey. Manhattanville reactivated 9668, 71, 74, 98, 9700, 11, 13 to 14, 17 to 18, 34, 40 to 41, 46, 48 to 50, 53, 58 to 60, 62, 65 to 66, 68, 70, 72, 74, and 9783. 9802 to 9803 and 9831 were also reactivated. This all occurred between December 9th and December 25th, bumping their total from 53 back to 91, with the exception of 9741 and 9776, the latter of which is currently at the JFK vendor. 9759 was the last unit to return to the depot. Some of these units hit service for the first time after the shutdown. They also received 9727 to 28, 30, 38, 71, 77, 9805, and 9841 from the last time we spoke. 9688, 9708, 9800, 9814, 17, 34, 42, 43, 51, 56, 58, 62, 66, and 82 were also announced to be on standby, along with the units announced in December's update. This brings us to around 58 units on standby for Manhattanville. All of these units are still in New Jersey and Plattsburgh due to the Omicron variant of COVID-19, creating a driver shortage at these facilities, as well as pending inspections, as well as the snowstorm that happened at Plattsburgh in early January. These buses are enough to bring us to roughly 70% completion of Manhattanville's allotment. Concerning the 2022 LFSs for New York City Transit, up to 8759 are built, along with 16 additional units besides these. Jamaica should hopefully receive them by the late spring or early summer. The second to last 2018 XD40 to get wrapped, 7645, returned from Grand CMF on December 9th, entering service with the local scheme on December 10th on the B41. 7651 was the very last unit to get wrapped out of Flatbush, being sent to Grand CMF on December 10th and returning to service on the B44 on December 23rd. With that, there are no more Select Bus Service Scheme XD40s left at the depot. Everything from 7615 to 7658 is wrapped in the local scheme, with 43 of those 44 units being in service, the exception being 7647. Very poetic, as the first unit to be wrapped was 7650 and the last to be wrapped was 7651. Concerning the Prevost, there was a massive pause in effect until January 13th, due to a seating legroom issue that was discovered in December. 1532 was the last Prevost to be delivered before the pause, which was delivered to Baisley Park on December 15th, marking the first time that depot received one. 1431 and 1437 were delivered to Far Rockaway, bringing their total to 21 out of 23 units, and 1469 to 71 were delivered to Yonkers. 1454 was transferred from JFK and Far Rockaway to Yonkers, completing their series from 1453 to 1472, which is 20 buses, over half of their allotment. 3068, 74, and 78 were retired, while 2247 and 48 were finally sent back to Spring Creek on January 12th, ending the era of D4500 CTs in the Bronx. Spring Creek now has 22 2008 CTs. 1493 to 1494 were delivered to Spring Creek, bringing their total to 7 units. 1548 was the first unit to break the pause, being delivered to LaGuardia on January 13th. 1323 was sent to the depot on the same day to allow the drivers to train with this model. Afterwards, 1545 to 1547, 51, and 54 were also delivered to LaGuardia, with 1301 and 1315 also becoming trainers for the depot. 1338 and 1351, which were delivered to College Point in 2021, were logged as 2022 units on TGMG. After the pause, 1339, 44, and 48 were delivered to College Point, raising their total to 32 Prevost and retiring 3026 to 27, 3047, and 3196. Sim 23 and 24 officially became members of the MTA on January 3rd, another result of the winter pick, a few days after their last day in service under Academy, which was on December 30th. Up until that date, Academy had allowed the usage of certain MCIs from Leonardo Garage on the Sim 23, many of which were signed up as X23 due to them not having the new signage. Reminded me of the D4500s which used to run on this route. The last buses to run on the routes from Academy were 6634, 43, 6792, 17,163, and 20,144. The first inbound trips to Manhattan on the MTA's watch were conducted on 2699 Sim 23 and 2500 Sim 24. The first outbound trips to Staten Island under the MTA took place on 2768 Sim 23 and 2639 Sim 24. The first trackable MCIs to hit the routes under the MTA were 2215 Sim 23 and 2288 Sim 24 on January 5th. The first known ex-MTA Bus CL to hit service on one of the routes was 3109 on the Sim 24 on January 6th. 4304 and 4327 were not retired, but 3076, 3117, and 4313 were. Therefore, Charleston still has 33 CLs, 20 out of New York City Transit, and 13 gap fillers from MTA Bus. On January 8th, it was confirmed that 1607 to 1629, 23 option order units, are earmarked for Charleston and have been prioritized since they now have the Sim 23 and 24. This means that Charleston and Meredith will both have 2021 to 22 Prevosts, while Yukon and Castleton only have 2015 to 16 Prevosts. This also means that the 2012s will remain at Meredith, and that Charleston will temporarily have one of the most diverse fleets in Staten Island express bus history, as I mentioned in last month's update. This will replace all but 10 of the 33 D4500 CLs at Charleston. Given the fact that 1587 to 1606 is 20 buses, Meredith will have no problem sending around 12 2016 Prevosts to Charleston to retire their remaining CLs, and 8 2016 Prevosts to Castleton to retire their remaining CTs. As they have 22 2016 Prevosts left, they might be able to send 2 more Prevosts to Castleton to resolve the remaining effects of Ida. Overall, Staten Island will be receiving just enough buses to replace every remaining D4500 CL and 2008 D4500 CT on the island, leaving the 2013 D4500 CTs as the only MCIs on the island. Due to a large variety of topics which I still have to cover, I will be splitting January's update into 2 parts. This is part 1. Part 2 will be coming out shortly after. Part 2 is going to cover all the stuff that we did not get to address in part 1, like buses that have retired, other system developments, fanning recommendations, feature photos, etc. So please stick around for that. Credit to those who have provided some of the photos and videos used in this month's update. They will individually be credited in the comments section. I know this is something I've forgotten to do a lot. I'm sorry about that, but this time they will be, as you'll see in the description below. Thank you guys for watching Next Stop News. Thank you guys for always being fans of mine. Please subscribe, stay blessed, stay healthy, stay hyped, and thank you for riding the Next Stop News.